Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. So for today's video, I am so excited because it has been a hot minute. I mean, like seriously, a hot minute since we reviewed anything from Melt Cosmetics, and they just launched their Electrip collection. So this is the Electrip palette. This is like a tongue twister for me, but this is the palette. It also comes with like a body glitter and some lip products, and I just picked up the palette, and I'm here to let you guys know whether or not this is actually worth it. So you guys want to see what this palette's all about. Did I just waste my money? Well, then definitely keep watching. Okay guys, so if you guys have been on my channel at any point in time, you guys will have seen that I really do love Melt Cosmetics. I have reviewed every single one of their collections. My favorite still is the Gemini palette. So when I saw they're launching the Electrip palette, I knew I had to have it. Now this bad boy right here retails for $58. However, there's still a sale going There's still a sale going on their website right now. You guys can save 30% off with the code MAGICMUSH. Now, this is not affiliated, anything, shape, or form. It's just something that they're offering, and they're offering it last week. So I paid less than $50 for this palette because I saved 30% off. This retails for $58. I paid for less than $50. And the code is still active right now. So you guys who do want to pick it up, you guys can save 30% off using that code. So here is the Electrip palette right here. Now, this is the outside packaging. It's supposed to be like trippy and hypnotic. I think it's rather boring. But when you open up, this is going to be the palette right here. Now, I think what would be really cool about this if this was more like 3D feel, and it's supposed to be like 3D, but like it doesn't actually look 3D to me. Like if it kind of like moved or like had one of those like there's a little like, you know what I'm talking about? No. Like one of those like little like palettes, you know what I mean? Like if they had like one of those 3D shifting palettes, this could have been really cool. Like this could have been such a cool concept. It to me just doesn't look like, it's not trippy. Like, I don't know. I feel like they definitely are trying to get it to be that way, but I don't know. I don't see it. So on the website it says, this $420, we take you on a trip. Welcome to our bright, lucid dream. Immerse yourself in the psychedelic colors of the new Electrip palette. Creamy chromes and true vivid mattes, let it show you what's hidden in your mind. So when I first saw this palette, I was like, you know, this palette looks a little familiar. But then my beautiful, beautiful friend Heather Austin did a video, and I typically don't watch reviews before I do my own because I want to stay as unbiased as possible. But I saw her kind of do a comparison, and I was like, wait a minute, she kind of has a point, because this palette does look oddly familiar. So right here, this is the Day of the Dead collection that Melt came out with, like I think like in 2018, 2019. This is the Day of the Dead. We have the Life palette and we have the Dead palette right here. Now I'm going to show you guys these two. These look oddly familiar to the Electrip palette, okay? So I'm going to hold this up. So here's the comparison of the two. So this is the Day of the Dead collection, and here is the Electrip. You guys can kind of see they're very similar. They kind of have aspects of both palettes in this one right here. So honestly, looking at this, I feel like that this one's more this palette right here, which is the Life palette. I feel like this one's definitely more similar to it because of the tones that are in here. The only thing that the Electrip palette has is like the vivid blues from the Day of the Dead side, right here. So I found that to be very interesting. I'm really glad that Heather pointed that out, because when I was looking at this, I was like, you know what? This actually does look pretty familiar. So this is the Electrip palette. Now, this is a 10-pan palette. You do have a mix of mattes and shimmers in here. And I will say their shimmers are always like hit and miss for me. Sometimes they're super creamy and buttery. They blend like a dream. Other times they feel pretty hard pan and they flake like crazy and have a lot of fallout. So it varies upon the palette. But I'm really excited because I will say this is a really pretty palette, but but if you guys have these ones, you actually might not need this. So I'm going to zoom you guys in. We're going to start to play with these colors because I want to see if this was actually worth getting. So let me go ahead and zoom you guys in. So I know that in Heather's video, she kind of showed the comparison more of the Vita palette and the comparison to the Electrip. She shows the kind of how the colors are very similar, but like they're just kind of different tones of each other. And I can agree that they are very similar, but I'm sure the tones are very different. I just know a lot of people online were saying that this was like pretty much them duping themselves. And I just want to quickly show you guys one more time. And then we're going to play with it. I'm going to really kind of gauge whether or not I think they're duping themselves. I mean, the colors are similar, but yet different. I don't know. I feel like it definitely is a mix of their Day of the Dead collection. Like it kind of has like the best of both. But there's going to be 6 shimmers in this palette and 4 mattes. And we're going to do 2 different eye looks today. I'm going to try something that I think will be really fun. I don't know how well this is going to work out, but we're just going to go for it. So we're going to try the shade right here, Bang. And we're going to do like a cut crease today for both eyes. So I hope everybody had a beautiful weekend. I know I did. I had such a great time off with my beautiful husband, and then we went over to Teresa and Alex's house for Easter, had delicious food. But it's so funny because this collection is an elevated collection, right? It's all about 420 elevated. And I kind of want to tell you guys a story about the last time I've ever been elevated. So if you guys saw in my series that I'm doing where I do new makeup releases every Friday, I had talked about how I just never do anything. Dare, like the Dare program really worked for me. The only thing I've ever done was 420. I've never done anything else because I've always been such a chicken shit. And I was always told from Dare, 420 is the gateway. You know what I mean? So I've always been like so scared. So the last time I ever got elevated, and this is such an embarrassing story because when you guys, it's the stupidest but most embarrassing story. So 2 years ago, Paige and Jarvis and our friend Caleb came down. We were doing a Disney trip. So we were talking about like hookahs and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, there's like a hookah store next to us. Why don't we go over there? So we went over there and I picked up some Delta 8 nerd clusters. Now I was excited because you didn't need to have like a prescription or anything like that to get it. They were over the counter because it had very, very low dosage of THC. So I was like, let's get this. So I bought the nerd cluster. We came back to my house and we were having drinks, we were eating, and we were playing Monopoly. Well, no one else wanted to do it. They just all wanted to drink. So I was like, I'll have the nerd clusters. And mind you, it had been years since I've done anything. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is the lightest dosage. Like this doesn't even like have anything in it. I'm fine. So I ate the bag of nerd clusters. And that's when I knew.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
So I looked at Corey and I was like, this doesn't have like really anything in it, right? Like there's like really like nothing in this. I should be fine. And Corey's like, no, I mean like it still has some stuff in it. It's just a very like weaker version of it. How many did you eat? And I said, well, there was 10 of them in here. I know there's like still some in the bag. I just don't remember how many. I just know I had a handful of them. Corey's like, what do you mean you had a handful? And I was like, well, I wanted to just enjoy this. And I said there wasn't anything in it. It tastes like nerds. So I should be fine. And he goes, I don't know if you should be doing that. Well, I was there going, well, I'll be fine. This is fake. There's like nothing in it. I was in for a rude awakening. So I'm not kidding. I told Corey, he goes, I don't think you should have eaten that much. I remember I asked Jarvis, I was like, is there anything in this? He goes, yeah, it's just a weak version. You should only have like one or so to kind of get accustomed to it, then have more if you need it. I was like, oh, he goes, how much did you get? I said, well, I know that I ate a handful. And he looked, I don't remember how much was left in the bag, honestly. But I just know there was 10. I just don't remember what we counted left. So he's like, oh no. I was like, oh no, what does that mean? Oh no. He goes, oh, Allie, I think you should sit down. I think you're about to, this is blending out beautifully. I think you're about to be in for a ride of a lifetime. So I was like, you guys are bullshitting me. I'm going to take my Nikkia Joy Cosmetics Velvet Fat Setting Powder. I like to take this and setting powders. I like to just kind of blend on top. So I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm going to go in for some sort of trip. I was like asking Corey, should I throw up? Would I feel better? He goes like, no, it's already in your system. Just enjoy the ride. So we were playing Monopoly and then out of nowhere, it hits, right? And it hits me good because I remember like time stopped in my world. Like time physically stopped and I was like, oh no, time is stopping. And like, I remember things kind of like moving to an extent, like very lightly, like my world was just slowly going in like a like phase, right? And I was like, oh no. And we're playing Monopoly and I'm struggling to kind of stay up with like what's happening in Monopoly. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm like really paying attention to like what's happening. I don't know if I can like be good for this. And Corey's trying to walk me through this. And I'm like, I'm starting to panic because I am listening to their conversations, but like I'm answering like 20 minutes later. I'm going to take the shade called Head Trip right here. I'm answering the shade, like I'm answering the shade. Oh wait, should I do? Yeah, I need to do a cut crease. I'm answering their questions like 20 minutes later. And I knew I was in trouble. So at one point, I was like, I need to get out of the house. So Corey was like, let's go walk the dogs. But he went to go walk the dogs with Jarvis. For some reason, in my head, I needed to go with them. I don't know why I need to go with them. I think I just need to get fresh air because internally I was panicking, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm panicking. And so I thought maybe some fresh air would do me good. Well, it did to a point, because at some point or another, I noticed that Jarvis was wearing Corey's flip-flops because he didn't want to put his shoes on, but he was wearing socks with flip-flops. This is the stupidest thing. And because he's wearing socks with flip-flops, for some reason in my mind, that was the funniest thing in the world. Like, I was in hysterics, laughing so hard to the point that I was literally peeing myself because I just thought it was so funny that he was wearing socks with flip-flops, and I laughed the entire 30-minute walk. Like, doubled over, couldn't breathe, like peeing myself because this was just everything to me. But he was wearing socks with flip-flops. And that's when I knew I need to go the fuck to bed. Like, I need to go to bed. This isn't good. So we get back inside, and I looked at them and I said, you know, guys, I think I need to sleep this off. I'm not good right now. Everything was just way too funny for me. Well, we decided to call it a night. So Paige and Jarvis stay in Corey's office. Caleb stays in mine and whatnot. And at the time, my cat Jace had a meowing problem. So it's the stupidest shit. So now I'm going to show you called Head Trip right here. So Jace, every night whenever we would go to bed and we'd shut the cats out because the cats and dogs in the same room at the same time was just always a headache. So we literally would shut them out. Jace would go around the house for probably about 20 minutes, you know, meowing very loudly on top of his lungs, just meowing. Well, at the same time that he's doing that, Callie's in the cat litter, and my cat Callie, she doesn't like to scrape the litter. She likes to scrape the side of the box to let everybody know that she's in the cat litter box. So you just hear this loud nail scraping against the top of the lid. So it's very, very loud, okay? So we'd all been drinking. I'm high. I've been drinking. I'm elevated. And I'm laying in bed, and I just hear that going on. I hear my cat screaming and Callie scratching the cat litter box, and I'm laughing, like hysterically laughing with tears coming out of my eyes, telling Corey, like, oh my gosh, what do you think they think that is? Like, they probably think that we're murdering our cats over here because, you know, Jace is screaming on top of his lungs, Callie scratching, trying to get out. Like, I'm thinking that this is the funniest thing in the world. Laughing. I mean, it probably took me a good hour and a half to actually go to bed because I couldn't stop laughing at what's happening out there. And then I just kept laughing because I'm repeating this scenario over and over and over and over and over and over in my head because in my mind, it just happened 5 minutes ago. Even though it's been like an hour and a half later, I'm still freaking laughing about it. Corey finally gets me to go to sleep. Okay. So I wake up the next day, Paige and Jarvis and Caleb came out, and Paige, bless her heart. I love Paige. Bless her heart. She looks at me, she's like, oh, so you and you and Corey had a great night last night, didn't you? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm gonna take the shade called Magic Mush right here. And she's like, well, I heard you guys last night. And I was like, heard us do what? She's like, you know. And I was like, nope. No, I don't know. And she's like, you know, y'all were getting it on. And I was like, what? I was like, no, we weren't. I passed out. I was like, I was not getting it on. And she's like, I heard you screaming, and I heard like the bed do 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 do. And I started laughing so hard because I was like, Paige, that was our cats. And Jarvis came out. Jarvis was like, Paige, I told you that was the cats, because they could hear one of the cats start crying. Then Caleb chimed in and goes, oh my God, I thought that was you and Jarvis. So my cats made Paige think that me and Corey are getting it on, made Caleb think that Paige and Jarvis are getting on, and I was like, wait, did anyone just think that Caleb was just going down on himself? It was a whole mess. It was a lot of fun. You guys had been there, because now it's not as funny looking back at it now, like telling the story, because maybe I'm not telling it as right, because it's also been years, but it was funny. It was really, really funny. I really think it was a funny story. So that was last time. That was like back in like 2021. I have not done anything since, just because it's just, I don't know, it's not my thing. But yeah, that was the last time. And it wasn't even like on 100% real stuff. It was on Delta 8. I was trying to do something a little different, trying to do something a little like trippy, put colors that necessarily wouldn't necessarily go together. And I am, yeah, that's how I feel, Koa. I'm not living for it. I am not living for it. This matte, it's really pretty, but I feel like it's like kind of blending itself away right here. I don't know. It's just not as pretty as I thought it was going to be. I'm a little disappointed in that. All right, well, I'm gonna do a different color on the other side. We're gonna go more blue on this side. So let me put down my eye base. I want to hear it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any fun stories that you guys think I should hear. I love listening to your guys' stories. I find it so fascinating, especially when it makes me realize that like I'm not alone in like some crazy things that happen. Like I remember the first time I ever reviewed the Smoke Sessions palette. I told you guys about the first time I ever got elevated and how I almost went to the emergency room because I thought that I was dying and I thought I was seeing ghosts, and then I thought I time traveled. I'll never forget that. It just sucks that in that video my audio was just so horrible because my camera microphone was actually not plugged in, so it just sounded absolutely horrible. And I was like, you know what, I can't believe everybody listened to this horrible audio of me telling this story and I'm sounding horrible. Oh man, the mattes are actually laying down rather nicely, which, you know what though, I'm not surprised. I've never had any issues when it came to their mattes. Their mattes are always pretty pigmented, although I feel like this one, I don't know, it's just not wanting to be as like colorful as I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do like a really fun like different mix and matching different colors together. Just I feel like this is supposed to be like a, you know, a trippy hypnotic style. This is not wanting to stay right there. A hippie hypnotic style, can't even talk, a hypnotic style eyeshadow look, and I just feel like this is what it would be if that'd be kind of fun to do something just like a little out there, but I don't know if this is working, y'all. Now we're gonna go into the shade called Galactic Love right here. We're gonna place that right next to that blue shade. I hope this works. I feel like, I know, Koa. I feel like this, I don't know. Maybe I'm just having an off day because I just don't know how I feel about these eyeshadow looks. All right, then I'm gonna go into like this blue shade right here called Blue Heaven. Right here. Lay that down right next to this. Oh, that's really pretty blue. That's such a pretty blue. All right, well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on cleaning these up, throw on some lashes, and I'm gonna come back and do the under eye together. Probably do some like browns, reds. Like try to utilize this palette to the best that I can and use every single color. So I'm gonna go throw on those, the rest of the face, and I'll be right on back, guys. Okay, so now the lashes are on, the face is pretty much done. I actually went in with the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Juicy Cheeks palette. I'm trying something out. So I actually mixed the shade Squeeze, Tangy, and Raw to make like this blush that I have right here. I actually think it's really pretty. It's like an orangey pink blush with a little hint of yellow. I don't know, there's something about it that I just find so like, so good. And this is still available. This just recently launched. If you guys do want to pick it up, you guys can use code Allie, but like, I don't know, I'm just really living for like the bronzy blush lately. So to finish off the eyes on this side, I think what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna go into the shade called Strawberry Fields to use like this whole palette today, because I really want to try to utilize this everything that I can. I actually did go in the shade Reefer right here. I use this to line my upper waterline lashes to mix with my false lashes. So let's take the Strawberry Field shade, and we're gonna start to just place this just along the waterline right here. We're gonna tight line it, and I think I might just go in with a white liner because I don't know, I just love white liner. It's just so pretty. So a little bit of that Reefer shade on it. It kind of like darkened this up just a little bit. That's really pretty. I like that. Okay, so for this side, I think we will use the shade Reefer one more time, and we're gonna use that to line our waterline, and then we're gonna blend it out with probably the light blue shade one more time. Like brown and blue go really well together. And then we're pretty much going to be utilizing every single shade in this palette. Besides the shade Far Out, I haven't used that yet, or the shade Saturn, but we're going to use those. So I'm going to take this, and let me just line this, put this right here. Let me blend that out with the shade Pseudo. Right here, we're going to blend that blue shade out. All right, then to finish off the eye look for this eye, we're going to go into the shade called Saturn right here. We're going to put that in the inner corner and the brow bone today. In the brow bone today. This beautiful, like, light orangey shade. It's pretty. And then we're going to take the shade called Far Out, and we're going to put it on this eye today. All right, and that's pretty much going to complete the look for today. So let me go ahead and get you guys zoomed on out. All right, guys, and this is the final look. So what do I think about the Electrip palette? Well, first off, we do have the outside packaging. It's supposed to be like trippy, and like I can see the concept behind it. I just wish there was like more 3D to make it like really look like it's trippy, like it's moving. That would have been like a really cool aspect, but I bet you that would probably make the palette more expensive, so I get why they didn't do it. Outside packaging, nothing wowing to me. But when you open the inside, I will say the color scheme on the inside is really beautiful. Like, it's a really beautiful palette. I love that you have so many different looks you can do with it. The way they laid this out, you could do like orange tone, you could do like neutral, you can do green, blue. Like, they really made it out, made it very user friendly with how it's laid out. That's how they are with all their palettes. They kind of like section it out where you can make different looks using different colors. I love how they do that. And I will say the formula is really nice. The mattes are super pigmented. They blended really nicely, although I feel like, I don't know, they kind of blended a little bit more than I expected. So they kind of like blended itself away just a tad bit. But the shimmers are great. I really did enjoy the shimmers. Typically in the past, their shimmers got like pretty flaky. I had them flaking off when I was applying them. I didn't have any issues with that whatsoever. They're not as creamy as I would hope, but they laid down very beautifully. They laid down very creamy on the lid, just not like the feeling of it. And they're very beautiful, very easy to work with. But if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is a $58 palette. Granted, I got it for 30% off, so that made it more worth it to me. But as nice as this palette is, I just don't think it's worth it. Like, I don't. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me just not connecting with it, or maybe it's just because I have these colors and they're two other palettes. So like, I know that they're different. Like, I'm not an idiot. I know that they are different, but I will say the tones are very similar. To me, the tones are very similar to their Day of the Dead collection. So like, when I look at this palette, I'm like, cool, like it's a really pretty palette. It's kind of these two mixed into one. While the tones do vary, I just feel like I have these colors from Milk Cosmetics. I really do. Like, when you look at this, especially the Vita palette, this green one on top, you can see like how similar this is in color scheme. And then you just have a couple of the blue ones in this palette. So like, it's beautiful. It is, but I just feel like I have variation of this. I just feel like this is a variation of these two palettes right here. So if you didn't get these two palettes and you guys can no longer get these palettes, then yeah, this would be a great palette for you to get, because you're going to have very similar colors, different tones for sure, but very similar tones and color scheme. But if you have those two palettes, you necessarily don't need this one. Like, I mean, in reality, you don't. It's pretty. I think it's worth it for the 30% off, but the full $58 price, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. Like, I'm not. I want to love it, but I don't, maybe it's just the way I did my eyes today. I'm not. That's just my personal preference. There's physically nothing wrong with this palette. It works the way it works beautifully. Color payoff is great. Formula is great. I'm not connecting to it. I'm generally just not connecting to this palette, and I'm not like looking at it going, oh my God, I love it so much. I'm just kind of like, I could have gone without. I could have gone without. Now, this is definitely a first impressions. I will be playing this palette throughout the month, because at the end of April, I will be doing a speed review where I'll be going over every single product that I tried in the month of April and give you guys my final opinions on them. But based on first impressions, yeah, it's a good palette, but I think I could have gone without. I don't need it, and you don't need it, and yeah. I'm sorry that's not what you guys want to hear, but I'm just being honest. I just can't connect to this palette the way I have with previous melt palettes. I don't know. There's just not a bond there for me and her yet. Maybe one day, but it's not there. So yeah, that is it for today's video, guys. If you guys like this video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 4 to 5 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channel. It's R for the Life, where you guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to these beautiful, wonderful Patreon members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down in this video. You guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe. Either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in my very next video. Bye. 30% off with you guys. You guys can save 30% off using the code Magic Mush to take 30. You guys can save then like so this was.